Hello, good evening, everyone. So, I felt the calling to show up on here and share a little bit. And I was going to open with some discoveries from the last few days, which have really been great. They've been great, and they've led me to want to come on and share a little bit. Having got out of the habit of sharing online for a while, with so much content, it's always in my head. I think content, 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 but like we want the nuggets, right? And so I'm thinking, well, how can I come on without rambling on and on, which I tend to have a habit of doing. So to try and get to the nuggets, I was going to say a particular thing, but I sat here and I was feeling the message about honouring, how to learn to honour, and I can say that I've honoured in my life, and I can say that I've, I don't know whether dishonour is the right word, but I have honoured others and I have not honoured others, and I've certainly not honoured others at times, so I'm learning, by no means an expert of how it is to honour. It's a very, very deep thing, and sometimes we can't honour. Sometimes we have to disconnect. We can't honour someone else. Sometimes we have to take a break. Sometimes we have to step back. Is honouring. And so to learn to honour, it's almost like a word that our language has not really. We don't really hear that word very much, in our culture. I kind of think of like Japanese, the Japanese. But to honour, and I have let people down, and they've let me down, and I've been the one who dishonoured, and they've been the one who dishonoured in a way, So what goes around comes around, and you learn through the process, of course. And but what I wanted to say about honouring was about how the last few days I've found a way to honour that. I could feel that there was something upset in my body, there was something in the digestion, there was something in my body that's upset, and it could be the start of a disease, it could be something that maybe relates to trapped emotions that I know many of us understand, and especially, as we reach our 40s, if we haven't done that inner work, then things start to get a bit, in our energy body. We start to feel just that bit like things aren't flowing as much, like that kind of feeling of flow when you want to do a run and you've just got that kind of vitality to go. And I always remember a few years ago when I started doing this Radiant Vitality, which turned into Divine Life Alchemy, and how at that time I was eating really, really well, or well as in there's no right or wrong, but how my body felt to eat, how was good for me, considering what was going on in it. What brings you into your power more? What helps you? What is it that you actually need, and what is actually too much and is not helping? And trying to keep this short, it's not very easy. But the conclusion I came to was that there are particular things that I've been eating, wheat, in certain things, and the lots of fruit sugars at times, and the grains and things that needed to be pulled back, and for me to have that clarity and that fire, because it's on one part it's about suppressing emotions and comfort eating, as a lot of us do, but on the other level it's like how the body wants a certain pH. It wants, and I technically don't quite know what I'm talking about, but I do, in the sense of that I can feel that we can feel what our body needs, and it really wants that clarity at the moment, so you can choose and you can decide without being wishy-washy. Because the thing is with the carbs, and if you're overloading your system, whether that's having too much sugar, fruit sugars, or you're not having enough, you're overcarbing, you're not having enough, whatever, it's really easy to, especially if you have an underlying health issue or underlying disease, or you have something underlying that's not happy, it's easy to start to feel like your energy, you don't have as much energy, and you can't have this like that fire. So I really feel like all those elements are really important in what we how we digest, and that's the key word, is how we digest. And I've learnt that with me, I haven't really been listening for quite a while now. It's been quite a long time. And when I lived in the wild, and I lived quite simply, I was a little bit more tuned and more aware of this through grounding, through sleeping on Mother Earth more, and just really having that time to listen, And there's been a lot of computer work and things over winter, getting some real structure and some things together. But at the same time, we can't get too busy that we negate looking after ourselves, So anyway, long story. Managed to pull the food round to a particular way, which is like really feeding and allowing things to take allowing that processing, that gut that is like constantly going rah, 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 to just have a kind of a bit of a break. So anyway, how can I sort of bring this into more of a deeper context? So honouring, so learning to honour and listen. And listening, we do so much talking, especially in the spiritual community, so much yabba 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 about what we see, what we think we know, etc. And out of the spiritual community too. And it's really about listening to what our body is telling us. So I think the message is about how do we recognize what it is, not necessarily what it is we're doing that's affecting us. Is great to know that, isn't it? But how do we recognize when something, hang on, we've done something that has changed things, and now suddenly we're feeling really good and we've got loads of energy? Is it that we got more sunlight? Is it that we got better sleep? Is it because we had less time on the phone? But and to be able to actually consistently manage to do that, but in a loving way, so it's not about right or wrong or good or bad, or you should eat this, you shouldn't eat this. It's about really, if there's something that is creating disturbance and upsetting the harmony in the physical body, then the soul, when the soul doesn't want that, but we have to really listen, and then we listen to what does the soul really want us to do. And I feel that through that clarity that I've been receiving, through less aggravation of the body system, and the fight flight is going, thank you for nurturing me, thank you for honouring me, thank you so much. And I believe that the depth of honouring we can go to, the depth of honouring, and we have to be able to have this level of connection to ourselves, to be able to connect with others and to honour others. The depth of honouring that we can, and that we kind of need to be able to get to be able to turn things around on this planet, is there's a very deep layer of honouring and understanding that we have as humans, and it's a very grounded thing. It's not just it's a really strong and rootsy kind of thing, like that rootsy wisdom that ancestors had, who they passed on to the next ancestor, and that was passed on in the genes, And I feel that some of what we can work with is that listening to what, even in the blood, in the bones, what is the body saying that it needs, that maybe even our ancestors didn't get. Sometimes it's rest, sometimes it's the right kind of nutrients, sometimes it's more water, sometimes it's more sun, perhaps it's less drama, perhaps it's more listening to the drama, listening to the emotions, the wounds inside. What is it that we really need? And I feel that the desensitization programs, the interference that we've had on the planet to knock us off from that knowing, where we've become a species that isn't quite in tune with what it truly needs. And that is a place, that's a state outside of our mind where we can read it. We can read the herbs and the things that our body needs and create wellness in the body. So I'm really happy to have listened, but just to listen and to take initiative for 3 or 4 days and feel like, ooh, this is great. I feel great because I'm doing the right things, or the right things for now. It's just a step. Keeping the consistency is another thing. But I love that there are telltale signs. And what are your telltale signs? What are your telltale signs that you know, yeah, I'm on path. I'm doing the right things in my life because I'm showing up in this kind of way. What is it that? How does it show? For me, it shows in feeling safe to come online and share my truth. For me, it shows as in picking up my guitar and singing more. It shows as in finishing and completing tasks. That's a great sign. I know when I'm completing my tasks, there's been millions of them lately, and they're getting done. And I'm like, whoa, over the last few months, but especially through not overloading the digestion, through having that energy, because we need the life force energy to be able to create in the 3D reality, you know. Yeah, so what are your telltale signs that tell you, this is a good path that you're on, that you've been listening to what your soul is saying? So it's not about being a Puritan, it's about honouring that nothing is right, nothing is wrong. If you need to have some alcohol, if you need to have a cigarette, I can't say they're good for my body, generally. I can say that the planet, the world, the whole network is built on this parasitical feeding, this need to feed in many different ways, isn't it? That we see around us, and the food system, and the amount of money that's made on our desire for comfort. So when we can pull these things back, we can say, that is, and then we can find the root. What's the root? Why do I have this need to feed off this all the time when I know it doesn't do me well? How can I find a better way? And then through that wellspring in the body comes up like a phoenix. Power, strong power. I want to go for a run. I want to do things. I want to face my fears. I want to organise everything. I want to sort this out. Sift through all the rubbish. Strong, powerful beings with an energy that goes back many generations, say, before the trauma started getting in generation after generation, the disempowerment, the cultural entrainment, the enslavement in a way. Come a time where it's time to be brave, and we don't have to be brave in an egoic way or fighting. We just gently be brave in standing up and creating a new way. And that way is to listen to spirit, find better connection with ourselves, with the plants, with the food that we eat, and with each other. Super happy to have made some progress. What seemed to be a short video has now turned into like a massive thing. Oh my god! Pleased to share it with you, and looking forward to this Thursday's event for Divine Life Alchemy. Thank you for all the work that you will do. Those of you who are doing amazing, those of you who are struggling, about loving yours is when push comes to shove, when you truly see it, you can see that there's something magnificent behind all of this, and that is why I choose to give up certain things that weaken my energy field, because I want